shirt that I wore for my little song intro, so we can all feel good about that. We're we're faking it until we're making it, people. Yeah, I will. Go ahead. Yes, Brandon did some cool stuff. I will say that I will get a countdown timer next time, but for this week, the best I could do is current time and show starts at 7 o'clock. So, yeah. Cute, right?
And you, why
It,
is there an echo of me now?
oh, because I turned my sound back up because I was gonna leave the room for a second. Here, I'll turn my sound back down. Is that better? Okay, good. Yeah, I leave my Steve Simon, you're here to tell us about voting. And you're with us today, Steve Simon. Now it feels like our heads are exploding, and we need you. Ah, shoot, I gotta start the show. Hold on, don't go anywhere. Hold on.
Yay! So excited. This is so exciting. Hi, everybody. Oh, I am so excited to be with you all back virtually. My name is Tane Danger, and I am the host of this show called The Theater of Public Policy. We are back live with you for the first time since May for a show that we do usually every week in the fall and spring called The Theater of Public Policy. What we have been doing since 2011 is talking to very smart people up usually on this stage behind me, and then about big issues and ideas or things that are in the news, and we have a good conversation and interview with them live. And then normally we have this team of amazing, talented improvisers that takes over this stage and brings it all to life through entirely unscripted improv comedy. So 2020 is a weird year. And back in March, we started doing these shows all virtually via, at that time, Zoom. We did that all through the spring, and it was great. And one of the things that I'll just say that we loved about it is that we now can be with a lot of people that we weren't with before. So we have a lot of folks who tune in from all over the country, which is very cool. This fall, we are back. This is our first show of our fall season. And not only are we back with you all virtually, but you'll notice things look all amazing and beautiful. And that is thanks to a lot of very hard work, particularly from that person you saw do the song at the beginning, Mr. Dennis Curley. So a big round of applause. He literally controls the applause button, so he could make it applaud right now if he wanted.
I think I just did.
Okay, good. And so thank you so much to him. We are going to get tonight's show started very quickly because it's a very important topic. We're going to be joined by Minnesota Secretary of State Steve Simon to talk all about voting. Before we have him join us on the virtual stage, though, I want to say just a couple things. One, we are here, I am here, alone, safely, at the Bryant Lake Bowl Theater, and I am so honored and excited to be back. We made the decision all the way back in March, even when we couldn't do shows sort of as our regular theater troupe here, that we wanted to still broadcast from here if we can, because this theater has been our home for such a really long time. And the Bryant Lake Bowl, like a lot of restaurant bowling alley theaters in particular, has been struggling and having a hard time this year. And so we want you all to know that they are still here, they are still around, and different from the last time we did a season, they are now open for you all to come and actually get delicious food from them. On the weekends, they have a beautiful back patio. You can still sit in their front yard, and they also do takeout. So if you're in the Twin Cities area, I highly recommend coming by the Bryant Lake Bowl and making sure that this amazing, wonderful institution survives this pandemic and comes out even stronger. And then my other favorite thing, which is that we have a sponsor, which has been with us for several years now, which is Finnegan's Beer. And still sponsors us all the time. I love Finnegan's Beer. Again, kind of a strange time for breweries and whatnot, but Finnegan's is sticking with us, and they are doing this very cool thing where if you go to the Finnegan's Brewery in Minneapolis and you mention T2P2, either when you order online or if you call them up and you call and try and order a pack of growlers or whatever you want, they will give you 20% off for mentioning Theater of Public Policy. So a big thank you to Finnegan's Beer. Last thing I'll say, even if you're like, oh, I don't care that much about 20% off, I make $1 million, and so I can have any kind of beer I want. Finnegan's donates 100% of their profits to feeding the hungry. And so this is just the best beer that you can get, both because it is delicious, it is local for those of you who are here in Minnesota, and you are literally helping fill food shelves by drinking Finnegan's beer. So what better could you want out of your drinking experience? With that, that is a lot of preamble for me. I am so excited to be here tonight, to be back in the Bryant Lake Bowl Theater, and to be talking about probably the most important thing that is on literally every citizen's mind right now, which is voting. Voting in a pandemic and during the weirdest year ever, and in what virtually every single person agrees is the most important election ever. No matter what side you're on, everybody seems to say that. So I am so honored to be joined tonight by Minnesota's Secretary of State. He is in charge of administering and overseeing elections for us, so he has a very big job to do. And tonight he's going to answer all of our questions about how to vote, what to make sure that we're all doing, what to worry about or not worry about, and any other questions that you all have that you want to submit through the chat. But for now, please help me in doing a big round of applause wherever you are for Minnesota Secretary of State, Steve Simon. Yay! This is so great. There is a round of applause for the people at home. It's just that we can't hear it. So thank you so much, Secretary Simon, for being here, making time for this. I'm sure it's how are you doing? It's seems like you have the busiest job in the world right now, probably.
No, you know what? I'm good. As my wife and I always say, we have our health, we have our jobs. That's 90+%, right? So sure, like everyone else, life has thrown some curveballs our way, but it's okay, right? It could be a lot worse. So we're good. I'm good.
Okay, and so this just happened to work out. This was the first show of our fall season. Early voting in Minnesota started on Friday, correct?
That's right.
So
we tied. We were just a little bragging point here. Minnesota is tied with South Dakota for the earliest state in the country to do that. So we kicked everything off for the country on Friday.
So let's talk about just what that means. So as of today, September 21st, what can I do in terms of I want to vote in the 2020 election, and what is available to me right now?
So 2 ways that you can participate. One is to go in person and vote absentee. So meaning any day between now and Monday before the election, Monday, November 2nd, any time of business hours, you can go into, typically it's a city hall. It depends on where you live. In Minneapolis, there are multiple options. In some places in Minnesota, it's a county office. But if you don't know where, go to our website. That's mnvotes.org, mnvotes.org, all-purpose one-stop shop for all that information. But anyway, you go in person during business hours, and you can vote that way. That's one way to do it. And another thing available to you now is to vote from home. And just about 1 million Minnesotans, just shy. I think we're knocking on the door, and sometime this week we'll surpass 1 million. We're almost at 1 million people who have already put in for that request. And that, too, is super easy. You go to mnvotes.org. I guarantee you, if you're super slow, it will take you 5 minutes. You get there, you get the ballot mailed to you at home. Vote from the comfort of your own home. Vote with your feet up. Vote while you're watching TV. Vote while you're folding laundry. Vote while you're doing whatever. People love the comfort and convenience. But this year, there are added reasons to do it. In the past, people have flocked to this option of voting for comfort and convenience. But this year, it's about minimizing your own risk potentially. And even if that's not on your mind, it's kind of a public service, because every person who chooses to vote from home this year is making the polling place just a little bit safer for everyone who chooses that option on Election Day. And both options, all 3, are equally worthy. So voting in person on Election Day, voting in person absentee at a government office between now and then, and having the ballot sent to you at home. Those are the 3 major ways, and you can do any of them, and they're all going to be counted the same. But this year, I think I urge people to take a close look at voting from home.
And just to be crystal clear about a couple things with the voting from home. So Minnesota, I think largely because of you, has no excuse absentee voting, right? So Anybody can just ask for absentee ballot. You don't need an excuse. You don't need to say, oh, I'm going to be out of town or I'm going to be sick. Just anybody can ask for it, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
That's right. No, I mean, nobody asks and nobody cares, and it's nobody's business. So You just go on the website, you say, I want it to come to me at home, and that's it. And then you can you can vote, you can put it down for a day or a week or 2 weeks, pick it up again, vote a couple races, put it down, Google some of the candidates, whatever. So people really have liked it. But again, there's that idea of making it a little easier at the polling place. And if I may, let me just say, part of this is kind of a math problem. You didn't think there would be math this close to dinner. There is, but it's going to be simple math. Here's the math in Minnesota. We have 3,000 polling places. We are expecting about 3 million voters. Easy math, about 1,000 people per polling place. And in a pandemic, as you say, that's a consideration. We got to try to get that number down because you're talking about 1,000 people per polling place, sometimes in tight quarters. It's a 13-hour period. They're cycling over. That's a good thing. If we can get it to 800, if we can get it to 700 or 600, we're on pace at this point, given the tremendous response in Minnesota. We're on pace to be well over a third of voters, maybe even as many as 40% of voters will be voting from home. And so that is going to take some of the pressure off at the polling place, not only for those who work there, the poll workers, but for individual voters who now know that they're going into a space where 1,000 people won't be cycling through. It'll be more like 700 or 600. And that's a good thing. So that's what we're trying to do, just give people options. Again, mnvotes.org is the place to go. And I do urge people to do it now. Don't wait till late October when folks at your local elections office are the most slammed. Don't do that. Do it now if you can. And that's really what I'm going to be pressing and talking about for the next 43 days.
Okay, because this is going to be my follow-up. I'll just do a friendly shout-out to my neighborhood in Minneapolis, Kingfield neighborhood, sent out these very nice mailings. It's like, make your voting plan, and they have like all of these dates and things on it. So one thing I didn't realize is, so anybody can request an absentee ballot, but there's you have to request it by a certain date, correct? Like you can't wait till the... Yeah.
No, I mean, people recommend, there's a recommended date, but under Minnesota law, technically, there's no deadline. So if you wanted to order your mail ballot the day before the election, you could. That's kind of a dumb idea because, pretty obviously they can't mail it to you in time on the Monday before the election. But if you wanted to do that, you could. So there really is no firm deadline. We are recommending that people give themselves, at least 3 or 4 weeks before the election, probably more like 3 weeks before the election to do it. And that's been kind of an unofficial deadline, but it's not an official one. You can, depending on your own risk tolerance, right, you can go as close to the election as you think it'll take for you to get it back in time by election day.
I know that you have to be more non-partial about this, but I'm going to say, for those watching at home, this is a stupid risk to take. This is not the thrill seeking that you need to wait until the day before the election to decide if you're going to mail in your ballot or not. Like, I don't know, go mudding or something, but not that.
Mudding? Now, there is an option. That's true. Can I just put in a plug for one other thing, Tane?
Yeah.
We've got a new rule this year. I just want to make sure that folks know about this. So this is a one-time only 2020 special, very on brand for this offbeat year. So by court order, I'll spare you the details on all the litigation, but by court order, we got a new rule this year for people who vote from home. Unlike any other rule, the rule this year is more forgiving and more generous for the voter. The rule this year is anyone who gets that ballot sent to them at home, you can postmark it as late as Election Day, November 3rd, Tuesday, as long as it arrives by 1 week later, Tuesday, November 10th. Put another way, every single Minnesota voter who returns a ballot by mail has an automatic minimum 7-day cushion to get that thing from point A to point B. It can never be lower than 7 days. So even if you wait until the last minute, which is Tuesday, November 3rd, you have a built-in 7 days. And if that seems too risky to you, depending on where you live, or you have doubts about the Postal Service, then pop it in the mail on Monday or the previous Saturday or the previous Friday or 3 weeks early or whatever. But you can go all the way up to November 3rd and still have a built-in week. And that's good. That ought to give people a lot of peace of mind.
Can I just add, I don't know how much I imagine your office has been very focused on the Postal Service. For folks watching from other states, Minnesota's Attorney General Keith Ellison joined attorneys general from a whole batch of other states in suing the federal government over changes to the Postal Service that they argue is slowing down mail delivery, slowing down how quickly mail is being processed. So I guess the question for you is, if people are reading those stories and they are nervous. Is that warranted in your mind? Should people change their behavior?
Look, here's what I say about that. Am I disturbed and even disgusted by some of what I'm seeing and reading about the U.S. Postal Service in Washington, decisions that have been made? Yes, I am. But at the same time, I'm saying, you know what, full steam ahead on voting from home. And here's why. We have workarounds. We have ways to get around all that stuff, even if there are delays. Number one, order your ballot early. Don't wait until late October. Number two, get it in as soon as you're comfortable with your choices. Now, look, I'm not here to say anyone should send it before they're ready. Everyone is entitled to wait until Election Day, get that last morsel of information that you need to make your choices. But if you're the kind of person who knows a week out, 2 weeks out, a month out, who you're going to vote for, and really nothing and no one is going to change your mind, get that thing in. Third is the rule we just talked about. Remember, this year only, 2020 special. The rule is postmark by November as long as it gets there a week later. That's a nice cushion that everyone has. Next, just to remind people, just because you get something by mail, like a ballot, doesn't mean that's the way you have to return it. If you're skittish or anxious about the U.S. mail and what you're reading and seeing about the USPS, fine, you can hand deliver it to your elections office. That address will be in the materials that you receive. Or better yet, you can have someone you know or trust, in most cases, drop it off for you as well. And then finally, we have a feature on our website, mnvotes.org/track. mnvotes.org/track. You can track your ballot like an Amazon package. So you aren't left hoping and wondering and praying when it comes to your ballot getting there. You don't have to put that sucker in the mail on Tuesday and go, God, I really hope they get it in a week, or 2 weeks earlier and say, boy, I wonder if they ever got my ballot. You can go there, put in your information, and it will tell you the exact date that it was arrived and processed. I tried this for the primary. It's really slick. It's great. Gives you some peace of mind. So, I mean, all those are reasons why, yes, those headlines are bad about the U.S. Postal Service. Are they really disturbing? Yes. But even if there are some delays, we have some built-in features this year that will help us get around those. And I still think that it's something we're strongly considering, just as about 1 million Minnesotans already have.
I haven't tried the ballot tracking thing, but I was curious if it's like the Amazon tracking where it's like, this is in transit right now. Like, it will arrive at your door by 8 p.m. or...
I'm afraid the Bezos empire has surpassed us when it comes to those features. But it will tell you the basics. It will tell you, the day it's arrived. It will like, I remember when I did it in the primary, the date was July 30th. I remember that for some reason. So like a few days before the primary, I just checked and said, yep, your ballot arrived and was processed or counted. I forget what the language was on July 30th. So you can know. You're not left wondering and hoping.
So what if I do this and I follow up and it's just not showing up and it's not showing up and it's not showing up? What do I do?
Yep, you can. That's a great question. So let's say you're in that situation. You're pushing refresh every hour and you're trying to see whether that thing has arrived and it hasn't, and you're really nervous about it. And election day has rolled around. You can go to the polling place at that point. And what they will do is you can vote in the polling place. They will, of course, cancel the ballot that thereafter comes in by mail. Very easy to do. Every ballot has a barcode that's tied to the individual voter. So they will just zero out and nullify that ballot. So you're not voting twice. That's not going to happen. And you can do that in that circumstance. But here's what you shouldn't do. And unfortunately, the president suggested this a couple of weeks ago, strongly seemed to suggest in North Carolina that people do this. He said something like, well, you should test the system by voting at home and then, voting in person. Please don't do that. So if you track your ballot and it says, yep, thumbs up, it arrived on, October 27th, you're good to go. And knowing that it's been cast and counted, you go in and you try to vote again in person to test the system or for any other reason, that's bad. That's a potential felony. Don't do that. But if you really don't know whether it's arrived, and in fact you have some evidence that it hasn't yet arrived, you can go in and you can just vote that way and nullify whatever comes afterwards.
Okay, hopefully this is a quick one. I send in my ballot, and then I realize, oh God, I've made a terrible mistake. I was drinking. I really thought that like a Kanye presidency would be a lot more fun than now I'm realizing the next morning it actually will be. Do I hunt down my mail person and ask them to hand me back my ballot, or how do I fix it?
No, if you've had too much Finnegan's or any other adult beverage, there's nothing against Finnegan's. Finnegan's is great, and they do great work. I know of them, and they're pioneers.
They're great.
So drink more Finnegans. But if you drink too much and that situation happens to you, yeah, you don't flag down your mail carrier. What you do is you go to your county or city elections person, whoever you send it to, depending on where you live, and up till 14 days before the election, you can claw back that ballot. You can have them fish it out of the pile, destroy it, whatever. And that's because they can't start opening them and processing them until day minus 14. Now, if you have that kind of moment of revelation on day minus 11 or 7 or 3, then you are stuck. You are locked in as of minus day 14. But if you sent yours in now or next week or 2 weeks from now or 3 weeks from now, and then you have that change of heart, as long as you don't get to day minus 14, you're good to go and you can have a do-over.
Okay, that's very helpful. Another piece of follow-up on, you mentioned you could have someone else drop off your ballot for you.
Yep.
2 pieces on that. One, do we have in Minnesota like drop-off locations?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Under Minnesota law, we do, but the law is pretty vague on, like every county must have one, and arguably every, well, no, let me put it this way. The law is super vague. I would put it this way. Communities, basically, when it comes to the drop-off boxes, let's put it this way, like a box, just like a federal blue mailbox, okay? They can have them, but there's nothing that says they have to. So there are some jurisdictions, especially in the Twin Cities, that are saying, yeah, we want to do this. We want to have at least one. Maybe it's in the parking lot of a government building. Maybe it's on some other public property. They're saying they want to do that. Other places are not doing them. So it's really kind of a checkerboard. Mostly the way people drop them off is they'll go to an actual office during business hours. But the rule in Minnesota legally, and I know this gets a little confusing, is at least our guidance to the counties and cities was, if you're dropping off your own ballot and nobody else's, you can have an unstaffed drop box to just slot, just like a blue federal mailbox. That's perfectly okay. If you're dropping off someone else's, then there's got to be a staffing component, either at that box or you got to go to a counter somewhere. And the reason for that is a law on the books that says if you're dropping off someone else's, that's got to be logged. They have to keep a log of who drops off who else's ballot.
How would you know that, though, if it's an unstaffed box? Like if there's 5 ballots in there and there's 4 that were dropped off by the same person, how would you even know?
Well, you're right. You wouldn't necessarily know, but you could say the same thing about a mailbox, right? You could say the same thing about a U.S. mailbox. Like, how do you know how many people? How do you know if someone dropped off 5 other people's by mail? You wouldn't. I'm just telling you what the law says. I mean, to our great and my great frustration, we have wanted, and we are going to keep pushing for more clarity on those rules. Otherwise, you're going to continue to have this patchwork.
Okay, I have a few more things I want to get to before. I should say, for folks watching at home, the second half of the show is all for you to ask questions, and you can add those in the chat. So please start doing that now so that we've got some questions to ask in the second half of the show. But, the other piece about somebody helping, how much can somebody else help me with my ballot? Somebody else can drop it off for me. Can somebody, let's say I lose both my hands in a helicopter accident. And I haven't learned to write with my feet yet. Like, can somebody else fill in the bubbles for me? Or what is the rules about that?
Yep. The rule is the person cannot vote for you in the sense of hijacking your ballot and putting in who they want. But they can help you any which way physically. And that includes for people who have lost their arms in a helicopter accident. That includes people with neurological disorders. That includes people with no disorder, but someone who maybe for whom English is not their primary or first language. And so, yeah, you can help as many people that way as you want. There is a numerical limitation on another form of help, ballot delivery. Under Minnesota law, you can only deliver 3 other people's ballots. So if you're heading down to City Hall, Tane, or a county courthouse, or wherever it happens to be for you, you can bring 3 other people's along, but not 4. And that's why the logging process happens, just to make sure that if you've reached your 3-person maximum, that is, you can't be a courier service back and forth. So that's the law in Minnesota. But in terms of the first part, like actually helping someone to accomplish the act of voting, short of telling them how to vote or voting for them, you can physically help them fill in the ballot as long as it reflects the intended voter's choice.
I've got a Ford Fiesta, so I'm not going to get more than 3 people in it with me anyway. A really big thing that people are wondering about, and you alluded to this with the fact that there's 7 days after the election
Yeah.
that ballots can come in. I will say, with the primary that Minnesota had late in the summer, I was kind of flabbergasted that we had results for that night, because I thought that was going to take a long time.
Yeah.
Is it going to take a long time, do you think, this November 3rd? Are we going to be waiting a week or two to know who wins these things?
Well, the short answer to that is no. And here's why I say that. So by definition, as I mentioned earlier, there's this new rule that's 2020 special, one time only, postmarked by Election Day, as long as it gets back by a week from then, Tuesday, November 10th. And by definition, that means we will not have 100% of all the votes in until Tuesday, November 10th, 1 week after the general election. That's true. I have a couple thoughts on that. First, I hope all your viewers and everyone you can tell between now and then knows that when that happens, when you see on election night that it's not the normal situation, it's not instant gratification, it's not 100% of ballots in, please just understand that that is literally by design of the legislature this year, which passed a special law providing for more time to count after the election, and by design of the courts through some orders like the one I explained and others that changed some of the rules. So this is not a situation where somebody screwed up or fell down on the job or fell asleep at the switch or whatever you want to say. It's not that. It is literally by design. Second, to your question, Tane, I believe that we will know the vast majority of outcomes, meaning winners, earlier rather than later. And this is why I say that. On election night, we'll be able to report a lot of stuff. We don't differentiate between whether votes were cast in person or absentee. They're all smushed together. They're all commingled. And on election night, we'll say, here's what we've got. Here's what's in so far. Obviously, every vote that day is in. And then I think a large majority of those that are absentee will be in by then as well. So we'll be able to say, here's what's in, but here's the key part. We'll be able to say, at some specific level, how many outstanding absentee ballots there are. So here's a hypothetical. Let's say in a given legislative race, candidate A is ahead on election night by 1,000 votes. Now, there aren't 100% in, but let's say we can say on that night or very shortly thereafter, look, she's ahead by 1,000. There are 700 votes, absentee votes outstanding, meaning we sent out 700 that haven't come in yet. We don't know whether they're coming in, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, up to the following Tuesday. We don't know. We sent out 700 that aren't back yet. Well, mathematically, you can call that race, right? Candidate A is ahead by 1,000. Even if all 700 outstanding go to her opponent, we know she's won. We won't know for a week by how much she's won. We won't know whether it was a lot or a little, but we'll know that she's won. And I think, and that's a simple hypothetical, but I think more races will be like that than this nail biter, wait until midnight on Tuesday the 10th kind of thing. I don't know which will be which, but I really think we'll know a lot more on the front end and won't have to wait for as many on the back end.
I totally appreciate that. I just want to ask one follow-up on that, which is, what should we, though, as viewers or as participants in this democracy, be doing differently this election night? Or what should we be on the lookout for? Because it does seem like we're in for a different kind of election night experience than we've had previously, except for maybe 2000.
Right.
So is there a way that you're kind of prepping people for how to be prepared for this experience, I guess, this November 3rd through 10th?
Yeah, I mean, I'm asking anyone within earshot, even virtually, to just to help me and help other secretaries of state across the country just spread truth and information to counteract lies and disinformation. Here's what I worry about. I'll just be candid. I worry about a situation where candidate A is ahead on election night. Candidate A declares victory. In subsequent days, it becomes clear that candidate A is no longer leading. In fact, candidate B is leading. Candidate A has already declared victory. Candidate A insinuates, if not outright says, that the election's being stolen, that there's a bunch of fraud, what's going on behind closed doors, this extended counting, who's watching the watchers, that kind of thing. When in reality, at least in Minnesota, I'm no expert on the other 49 states, but in Minnesota, that is literally by design, as I keep saying. I mean, that's the way the legislature and the courts have said it will work. It's a transparent process, but we've got to counteract the disinformation that I fear is going to fill that space. And we've got to make sure that conspiracy theories don't take root. This is by design. We have a decentralized election system in Minnesota. Our office doesn't count a single vote, not one. Never have, probably never will. That all happens in a decentralized way across counties and cities all over Minnesota, and that's a good thing. No one single office, even Minneapolis, is only a certain percentage of the vote, or even Hennepin County. So nobody has the total control to sort of throw an election, even if they wanted to. So that's the way our system has worked well. I just counsel patience. I know that's so boring, right? And that's such a, but it's true. And I worry in the week after the election or 2 weeks after the election, I worry about what could happen if people jump to conclusions. I really do worry for this country about that. So we just got to chill and focus on what's really going on and the facts. And I could use everyone who's watching this. I could use your help doing that.
That is a brilliant point. I don't think that anybody can see your very vague hypothetical of candidate A and candidate B. So thank you. That was a very good explanation.
I didn't even say what office. I
just
said
we didn't.
Candidate A or candidate B.
It could be any office, and it could be anyone who potentially spreading disinformation on a wide scale. So thank you so much. We are going to bring Secretary Simon back in the second half of the show to answer your questions, which are already coming in, and we're already getting a lot of them. I'll just ask one really quick one, which came in. Can people still sign up to be poll workers if they want?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we need them. We need 30,000 people to do that job. And it is a job, by the way. It is paid. Some people think, oh, it's a volunteer gig. It's not. You are paid. Even for the 2 hours of online training, you're paid. I will add that there's no geographic restriction. If you're 18 or older and you live in Minneapolis and you hear that they need help in Minnetonka or Eagan or Mankato or Duluth, for that matter, if you want to travel, they'll take you. You're not like tethered to your town or your city or your county or anything like that. So go to mnvotes.org, fill out an interest form, or maybe even better yet, go to that city. It doesn't have to be your city. Go to a city and say, I'd like to be an election judge. I'd like to help you out. They'll snap you up.
That is fabulous. All right. So while you are hopefully not doing that, you're going to watch the Theater of Public Policy do improv. But first, can you all please do a big round of applause? Secretary of State Steve Simon was here with us. He's coming back in the second half of the show. Thank you so much. I am going to say right now, we are going to turn the virtual stage over to the cast of the Theater of Public Policy. As I promised, everything they do is entirely made up. It is all improv based on just what they have heard from our guest and I talking for these last 20 minutes. This is all improvised. They're all in different places. I cannot be more excited right now because this is the first improv set of the fall season of the Theater of Public Policy in 2020. Please, a big round of applause for the Theater of Public Policy.
Hey, Mike. I'm glad that you were able to meet with me. I need to talk with you about something.
Well, what's the problem, Samson?
Okay, well, here's the thing, right? You know how I had my dad's sick Ford Fiesta?
Yeah, that thing is pretty slick, man.
Yeah, and us in the gang, we've been talking about doing a big old election rager, right?
Oh, dude, that would be so amazing.
Yeah, but I can only bring 3 people with me, because it's just the Ford Fiesta.
That's all right, bro. That's all right, bro. I can step aside because I'm a risk taker, right? I'm a risk taker.
What?
Yeah,
and so what I'm aside?
Even though the election's tomorrow, yeah. I'm gonna apply for my absentee ballot today.
Dude, that's wild, right?
On the edge, like a true rebel.
I love your trust in the U.S. system, right? The United States Postal Service. I love that. I love that you trust them like that.
I want some adrenaline in my patriotism. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm scared for you. I'll be honest. I feel like they're swimming upstream, if you know what I mean. They're climbing a waterfall, if you know what I mean.
Oh,
They're
but
trying
it's
to
going to
like
be so
Parcheesi on
satisfying to
stage.
see that vote come in at the last second. I'm going to feel like Evil Knievel.
All right. Both you think you're going to be mayor in this town? I have my ballot right here. You're going to have to give me your case if you want my vote.
I'll go first.
And I'll go second.
Okay, or I could go third.
I'll go fourth.
Yeah, I could go fifth.
Oh, no, I'll go sixth.
Hey, you two, I've got this extra time for this absentee ballot, but I want to fill it out right now. So let's go. Jenny, you go first.
Well, I really think that I have some ideas and I enjoy people.
Interesting. People person. All right, Gary.
I'll give you a $20 bill if you vote for me.
Michael, I have to tell you something. I've been praying for your ballot. We put it in the mailbox 3 days ago. And I know we can track it and see where it is, but when I look at the thing, it says that, it left Minneapolis. And then it was in Minnetonka, but somehow it ended up in North Carolina, and now it's on its way back to Houston. I just don't trust what's happening.
It's just like what my fourth grade teacher told me. I don't matter.
But you do matter.
I mean,
matter.
if this isn't a sign that I don't matter, I thought I could influence everything, and it's like the universe is telling me no.
Listen to me. Listen, look in my eyes. I promise you from the depths of my soul that you matter and that your vote is important and that we want you to have a voice. I'm just nervous because we've never voted by mail before. And sure, we've been assured that it'll get there, but I'm still scared. So I want you to know that, but I don't want you to take it as you not mattering, because you're special.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh,
Well,
hey.
aren't you just an outstanding absentee ballot? Oh,
I
yeah.
no excuses here.
Woo! You are outstanding. Oh, yeah, look at you. Who knows what mysteries you hold?
No, you know what? I'm going to have a whole week. I'm going to savor the wait. I'm just going to.
Oh,
Yeah, I
you're
know.
just gonna.
3rd to the 10th, I'm going to revel in the ambiguity. Like, what's happening? Who cares? I'm comfortable.
Oh, wow. That kind of whatever you just described. I don't even. Oh, keep jiggling your hair. Oh, my goodness.
Who did I vote for? Who did I vote
No, it's so mysterious. And when will you arrive? Oh.
But you know what? That's one of the things about being an absentee ballot is that you can be whatever you want to be for a full week until after the election. I'm nothing but a possibility.
You're a clamshell full of all sorts of things.
I like that, a clamshell. I'm a clamshell, and maybe there's a pearl inside, or maybe there's just a clam.
Hey, mailbox. It's good to see you again, but I just gotta ask, when those people came and took you a few weeks ago, what happened to you?
I was a little distressed.
That's understandable.
It's not a voting thing, Lamppost. I was a bit shabby. See, not a lot of people put their mail in me anymore, and well, some kids decided to cover me in chalk and hit me with a water balloon, and I just wasn't in a good place.
Oh, oh no! I'm so sorry to hear that, Mailbox. You know that's just terrible. I think that there should be laws against doing stuff like that.
Well, Lamppost, I know you're on my side, but a lot of people don't feel that way. People don't like their mailboxes anymore.
I mean, I mean, we deserve more respect sitting here out here on the corner. Like those dogs always come and pee on us. That's not appropriate.
No, people don't need us like they used to. You know what people have been doing? You know, people are putting their absentee ballots in me, but somebody put their vote on a videotape and another person put their vote on a thumb drive. I mean, you can't vote on those things.
That's insane. Like their votes aren't going to count if they put them in on a videotape, right? That's not going to work, is it?
That's not going to work. Another person just put a whole hard drive in me.
You know, I think they waste votes on the wrong people. Like they could let us vote. They should let me shine a light on who our next president should be.
You think they should let inanimate public utilities vote?
As long as they have a soul, they should have a voice. That's what I say.
Yeah, you're right. But hey, Lamppost, I'm gonna vote for you.
Oh, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready to run for office. I mean, I can cast a ballot, but I mean, do you think people would vote for me?
Lamppost, you talk more than a good game. You got what it takes.
Well, I've got a lot of ideas for this country. You know, I think that we should restructure the power grid. Because sometimes I get dirty power and I want clean power.
That's
you
right.
know? And I think the other lampposts on this street want clean power too. And we can have that.
Yeah, maybe we can electrify our mailboxes so they give people a little bzzz when they put their mail in.
I'm here to claw back my ballots.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's not quite how this works. You actually don't need to claw back your ballot. You just need to submit a new one.
But I have a whole spell. Zippity, zappity, give it back to me.
What? Whoa!
Give it to me. Give my ballot back.
Wow. Thank you. Yeah, I know. Thank you for offering to take my ballot down to the ballot box. I've never really had an alien do that before, and I appreciate it.
No, it's interesting learning about the democratic process. So I can do as many of these as I want. I can just go door to door.
I know you can only do three at a time. Three.
What?
I know. Well, there are limitations on Earth. You probably noticed that we have gravity too.
Yeah, that took some getting used to.
Yeah, and that without oxygen, we're kind of doomed. And I don't know that it takes just two of us to recreate an entire species.
Well, let me ask you this. So
Yeah.
You can bring your ballot, but I'm limited to 3. What if I eat a few Earthlings, and so they're inside my digestive system? Does that count if I drop them off or not?
If you plan on regurgitating them in front of a federal or county building, then that's fine.
Okay, so got to swallow them whole.
Yes.
Okay.
Listen, I want to apologize for some of the disinformation that's been floating around our democracy. You came at kind of a strange time, I will say.
Yeah, I can see that. You know, I tried the whole "take me to your leader" thing, and people just laughed and laughed and laughed.
Well, it depends on who you ask, I suppose. But yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, I landed in this one Minnesota city. They brought me to a dog. Said he was the mayor. It was wild.
That's funny. There was a raccoon that climbed up a radio station once too. But anyway,
Wow.
Yeah. I want to thank you for doing this, and I want you to know that if you would just perhaps take me back with you, I could maybe, sow the seeds of democracy in your land.
Oh, see, that's the thing. Where I'm from, you don't just get one vote; you get 1,000 votes.
Well, but I mean, if you just take off the last 3 zeros, doesn't that really just approximate what we already do? It seems kind of just like inflated. I don't.
Where I'm from, my planet doesn't have fractions, and so I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Eric, it's your great, great, great grandfather, Ezekiel. I want to know why you haven't voted yet.
Okay, wow, see, here's the thing, right? Voting, the election happens on a Tuesday, and I thought, what would go better with votes than tacos, because it's Taco Tuesday.
Eric, listen to me. Me and all of your ancestors fought so hard for you to have the opportunity to vote, and I don't care what you eat when you do it, but you need to take care of that opportunity as soon as possible.
Okay, great, Ezekiel. Here's the thing, right? I'm like young, I'm fit, I'm fun, and you have to understand where I'm coming from, right? Like the past couple of years, I got to vote for a black guy twice, right? And then last time it came around, it was 2 white people, and I was like, you know what? Let's give it for the girls, and that didn't work. So like, I'm just kind of like, I don't know what to do because it's just 2 guys, 2 white, 2 old, and I'm just feeling stressed.
Listen. I know you feel disenfranchised and fatigued and like that your voice doesn't matter, but let me tell you about the choices I had when I first got to vote.
We get
Those
it.
candidates
We
were
get it.
really,
You
really
got to go
not
to
woke.
school.
Eric, I used to walk uphill barefoot in the snow both ways to protest in order to get the chance to vote so that you could have the chance to vote. I don't care if you're frustrated. You need to do it. Because
Okay,
otherwise, I got frostbite for no reason.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for the cast of the Theater of Public Policy. Now, please welcome back to the virtual stage your host for this evening, Tame Danger.
Hey everybody! Oh my gosh, that was fantastic. That was both serious and wonderful. A big round of applause for the Theater of Public Policy cast. This seems like a very appropriate moment to note 2 things. One, very importantly, the cast of the Theater of Public Policy, like all performing artists right now, we're in a weird place, and this is actually one of the few shows kind of like happening on a regular basis. And it's been challenging for us as a theater company to keep going. A lot of our regular shows and things have gone away, but we have made a commitment that we're going to keep doing this and that we're going to keep paying our cast for doing these shows and everything that they do. I will be 100% transparent that normally the way that we would be able to pay for that is by filling up this theater that I'm sitting in with you all buying tickets. And that is not possible right now. So the only thing that is paying for all of this to happen tonight is you all hopefully making a contribution online. And so there are links that our fabulous communications guru Destiny is going to put in the chats below that you can click on to chip in any amount of money that works for you that you can, that will 100% be the thing that helps us pay our cast, and honestly, at this point, keeps this show going. And so if you can, it means, I cannot say how much it means for you all to make a contribution for the Theater of Public Policy. So with that, I'm not going to take any extra time because we have gotten a bazillion questions for our guest this evening. So without further ado, I'm going to welcome back Minnesota Secretary of State, Steve Simon. Big round of applause wherever you are. Fabulous. All right. So excited to have you back. As I said, we really have been getting like a million questions for you. So just following up on one thing that we said before, we were talking a little bit about election judges. Somebody was asking if there's any way to know the cities that need election judges.
Yeah. Good question. So we're in the process right now of surveying cities and counties to find out exactly that information. And we're asking for their permission about whether we can name them as a jurisdiction that needs folks. So look for that information. We hope to have it, and we hope that they'll do their part in making it known themselves. They should use their city or county social media or whatever, say, hey, we still need 20 people, or we still need 5 people, or whatever. So it's we're coaxing them to be more open about their own election judge needs.
Fabulous. Are they shy about it?
Some are. Some, like, we have asked them, and some say that they don't want to be on a list. We'll find people, and they still want our help in getting people, but they don't necessarily want to be on a list because they perceive it as a bad list. I don't. There are all sorts of reasons why people might not have folks yet. We're still 43 days out. They'll get them. We'll help them get them, and we just got to have each other's backs.
That is just that, like, Scandinavian, like, oh, no, I'm fine. No, it's just everything's good. No, don't bother looking over here.
Right.
No, we'll figure it out. Okay, so I've gotten 2 different people asking about if there are measures that you all are looking at to keep polling places safe from intimidation specifically. That they've seen at least one of these people said, I've seen some stories about people potentially looking at being intimidating forces outside of polling places, and how it is that we make sure that that doesn't happen.
Yeah, so a couple things on that. And I think, we've always taken that pretty seriously in Minnesota. So one is there is a limitation. You can't be within, I think it's, God, I should know this. I think it's at least 100 feet of the entrance of a polling place, not just the polling place within a building, but like if it's in a school, the entrance of the school. So you can't be harassing voters that way. 2, even in the polling place, there's a law in the books which says you can't have any stuff on that depicts or shows a candidate's name or logo or anything like that who's on the ballot that day. It's got to be someone who's on the ballot that day. So no voter can wear a Biden button or a Trump t-shirt or anything like that. If you want to wear your old Al Franken shirt or, your Mark Dayton shirt or your Norm Coleman shirt or whatever, that's fine. They're not on the ballot that day. But if they're on the ballot that day, you can't. And so that should go a long way towards making sure that people can just vote in peace.
Perfect. That helps a lot. So we got a question actually from Judy, who is asking, my ballot that I got in the mail today has a line for a witness. Do I need a witness before I mail it in?
Okay, there's another 2020 special. According to some late-breaking litigation the result of which came about too late to reprint all those forms, you do not need a witness. Forget it. Exit out. Nobody in Minnesota needs a witness this year under any circumstance. Well, I shouldn't say that. There's one circumstance, a tiny circumstance. If you're registering to vote for the first time and you're doing the absentee ballot, then you're going to need a witness. But other than that, and that's a very tiny slice of voters, you're not going to need a witness. So don't worry about it. The court said you don't need one this year, one time only for COVID, only for 2020. You do not need one.
Here's a grim, morbid question. What if I vote for someone absentee? What if I vote for someone by mail and they die before Election Day?
Yep. So that has been the subject of a lot of thinking for a lot of years. So a lot of your viewers and fans may remember, or at least have heard about, 2002, when Senator Paul Wellstone died in a plane crash 11 days before the general election. The rule then for that office was that his party, the DFL party, was scrambling. They had to find someone with 11 days to go. It ended up being 9 days to go. They had to hastily convene and figure out a candidate. That candidate that year was former Vice President Walter Mondale. But the winner of that election 9 days later was Norm Coleman, who then served in the Senate for a term. If that same scenario happened this time for a partisan office, and it's only for partisan offices, for a partisan office like U.S. Senator, like governor, like Attorney General, whatever, If that happens within a certain time before the election, then there would not be an election that goes on as normal. There would be a special election in February, 3 months later. So that's what would happen for a partisan office. The rules are a little bit different for nonpartisan offices. It's more like the old rule for nonpartisan offices, like county commissioner or something like that, if there's a vacancy in nomination. But for all partisan offices, there would be a special election in February, 3 months later.
Okay, that is very helpful. As long as we're on morbid questions, this has come up. What if I die before Election Day and I've mailed in my ballot?
So if you're hit by a Finnegan's truck after you have sent in your ballot will not count. Under all circumstances, the key is whether you are eligible and in fact a voter on November 3rd. That goes for birthdays, that goes for residency status, anything. If you meet the requirements by November 3rd, even if you vote before November 3rd, you're good to go. And of course, one requirement is, in fact, being a live, living, breathing human being. So no, that ballot would not be counted.
Okay, so I'm going to ask this next question with all the caveats of, we know that voter fraud is wildly not a thing. It is, there's literally a dozen cases in a dozen years or less. It is something that there's just wildly not shown to happen in a mass way. However, it is something people worry a lot about, and particularly as there's a lot more mail-in balloting, this has been something that has been raised a lot. I guess the question that you probably get on this a lot, and that I'll ask, is how do you, as the Secretary of State's office, make sure that all of these mail-in votes are actually from the people that say that they are from, and that you don't have a situation where somebody's filling out ballots for somebody else?
Right. So fortunately, there's a really easy answer in Minnesota, but let me slightly hijack your question and ask the same question in a form that I often get it that encompasses the mail piece in particular. So what about a mail thief, right?
Yeah.
What about a mail thief? I just finished saying we got 1 million or more ballots going out. All these blank ballots just floating out there in the air, right? Being delivered on trucks and cars or whatever. What's to prevent someone from going to residential mailboxes and just swiping 2 or 5 or 10 or 100 or 1,000 for themselves and sending it off?
Or hijacking a mail truck, which actually is, if that hasn't been made into a movie yet, it should.
That is a screenplay waiting to happen. But, so I will say, if for whatever reason someone intercepts it in the mail, right? Pokes into a mailbox, whatever it is, hijacks a mail truck, takes a bunch and votes for themselves. It's a legitimate, good question. Here's the answer in Minnesota. In Minnesota, we are one of the few states that does something I think that's very clever. In Minnesota, when you order that ballot on mnvotes.org or otherwise in a paper form, you'll see that you are asked to supply some personal identifying information. It can be the last 4 of a social. It can be a driver's license number. It can be a state ID number. It can be, a list of things. The point is something that ties the ballot to you. And unless the ballot returns with the intended voter's personal identifying information, it will not be counted. So back to the mailbox thief. He can steal 2 or 10 or 50 or 100 or 1,000. Think he's getting away with something by voting 1,000 ballots and sending them in. But I'm here to tell you, they will never be counted. And they never are. I've actually checked with our elections director, who has a ton of experience across multiple levels of government. I've checked with folks out in counties across Minnesota, and I've asked the question, do you know of a single case, even one, of an intercepted mail ballot where someone successfully, though illegally, cast that ballot when they shouldn't have? Do you know of one case? And they couldn't name a single case. That doesn't mean there wasn't one. It means they don't know of one, and that goes a long way with me. So we have those security features in place, not just that one. Every ballot gets an individualized barcode that's tied to that particular voter. And then further down the list, as sort of the last set of identifiers, is a signature. We ask everyone to sign the ballot. Now, there isn't always a specimen that you can measure it against, but sometimes there is. And so as a last-ditch way to identify it, you can match signatures. It's not the first or even the second line of defense, but it's like a third line of defense. And so that, in part, explains why we have such a good record. Same thing goes, the president at one point said, well, what if a foreign government counterfeits a bunch of ballots and sends them in? The same thing, unless the counterfeit ballots all bore the personal identifying information and the specific form of personal identifying information that each one of those intended voters used, it's never going to be counted. It can look great. It can look real. It can feel real. It will never be counted. So the joke is really on the thief or the counterfeiter.
Good. And so you brought up this other piece, which I'll be honest, I'm kind of surprised we haven't talked about in an hour into this program, which is you were on our show a couple of years ago, and we talked for a while that time about international election interference, about the fact that in 2016, I think the sort of analogy that you used was that Russia, they didn't break into our system, but they like jiggled the door handle and like they were trying to see how far they could get. Why should we be like, has something changed since then? I mean, I imagine they've been working on it. Like they've been trying to figure this out. So have we been building up our defenses on that side?
Yes, we have. We spent the last 4 years doing what we should be doing, which is we consult very frequently with the intelligence agencies in Washington. And they give us help in two primary ways. First, they give us information. They give us intelligence. We get intelligence briefings in our office. A few of us have been given a clearance. So that's kind of cloak and dagger, right? But we get that. I just had my last one about 3 weeks ago. I'm going to have at least one more by the time of the general election. So they give us what they call threat assessments, which is basically an intelligence briefing. And then they give us a lot of know-how too, like hands-on stuff. So they do a lot of what they call penetration testing, which is a fancy title for coming on in and trying to hack us. And so we just had a round of that where they come on in, sometimes physically, sometimes remotely, and try to find the soft spots, try to find the weak spots. They write up reports, they have very expensive recommendations, and we do all of them. We spend the money to do all of them. And so I feel really good about where we are. Keep in mind, we're a paper ballot state, which really puts us ahead of the curves. There are some states that have touch screen voting with no paper trail, no nothing. We're not like that. We have a bipartisan consensus in favor of a paper trail. You can touch it, see it, feel it. So my concern is less with that kind of interference than it is with getting into the databases, which our office runs, which serve as kind of the spine of the system. That's where we put a lot of time and attention in. And I feel good. And, I mean, honestly, no institution can look you in the eye and honestly tell you there's 100% chance that nothing wrong will happen or nothing bad will happen. Target can't do it, US Bank, the University of Minnesota, or our office. So I can't say that, but I can say that we're doing everything we can every day to minimize the risk. And I feel really, really good about where we are, but anything could happen.
Okay. Last question for the evening from me, which we've made the case. Everybody should be going out and requesting their ballot, or at the very least, making their plan for how they are going to vote. I'm going to ask you to make a prediction here, not like a partisan prediction, but I am curious if you have a sense of, in 2018, we saw historic turnout for a midterm election. We saw more people, I believe, turn out in that midterm than any midterm we've ever had. So do you have a sense so far, like based on ballots that have gone out, based on other things that you watched, what you're thinking the turnout in 2020 might be?
Well, I think the best apples to apples comparison is the last presidential election, so 2 years ago, 4 years ago. And this is the point where I get to brag. In 2016 and 2018, we were the national champs in voter turnout. And in 2016, the last presidential election, our number one in the country performance was 74.7%, so just shy of 3/4. I think we'll do that or better this time.
That is the mark to hit, everybody. At least 75. I think we can do 80. Go and ask your name.
We can.
Yeah, we can. I think it's good. With that, can everybody, wherever you are, do a big round of applause? Minnesota Secretary of State Steve Simon, he has a lot of very important things to do, and I'm so grateful that he made time for us.
Can I say one last thing, Tim?
Yeah, absolutely.
First, it's an honor to be on your first show of the fall. I feel like that first SNL host of the season. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's you.
Feels great, right? That's kind of like me, right?
Yeah.
So, second, everyone drink a lot of Finnegan's. They are the sponsor. They are the host. Not just because they're the sponsor and the host. They do great work in the community. They really do. 100% of the profits. And third, and Tane did not ask me to say this, I will say it, because he and the entire group does such a great job. Please, when you're seeing on your screen that prompt to go and make a donation, look, if you were watching this and you were entertained, and if you were doing any other form of entertainment, a movie, a play, anything else, you would expect that you would pay a fee. So I'm going to do that when I hang up this call, and I encourage you all to as well. We really need this group to continue and to thrive.
That is a very nice. I can't think of a nicer note to end on. I'm blushing, so I'm gonna stop because that was so nice. Thank you so much, Secretary Simon. And you know what? With that, I am going to turn the stage back over to the cast of the Theater of Public Policy to do one more round of the magic that they do of turning all of the wise, wonderful things that we've been talking about into entirely unscripted improv comedy. So without further ado, one more time, please, a round of applause for the cast of the Theater of Public Policy.
Excellent job, everyone. Excellent job. I'm so glad that we were able to get our pilot episode of American Horror Story Voter Fraud out there. Yeah. Now we need some new ideas coming, so let's see what you got. We're just gonna ping pong here. Who's got something? Yes,
I do.
Yes. Steven,
how about we ride that momentum, we keep it going, and we do one about an election that never ends. You got to vote every day, and they do a new count every day, but you got new candidates the next day. Huh?
I love it. I love it. And the scary part is you still have to make sure to vote every day, because if you don't, maybe like a scary clown's gonna get you, or you're gonna be haunted by something.
Yeah.
Yes, Filbert. Yes.
Hi, I was in the basement and I had to go back. No, but I'm back. Here's one. You're sending in your ballot and you can't remember if the last digit of your social security number is a 4 or a 5.
I love it. I love it. And like one of them is you, but one of them is actually a spirit that you've conjured that's going to take over your soul and go on a murderous rampage. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great. Yes, and.
Yeah. Yes, and I'm so glad we took that improv class together, team. I'm so glad that we did that.
I'm just here to watch the National Voting Championship.
Oh. Well, then you're in the right place. Are you in the box section, or are you in the cheap seats?
I'm in, I'm right at home base.
All right. Just come this way. We'll get you right to your seat.
All right, thank you. Okay. Oh, this is nice.
I'll be here for the evening. You let me know if you need anything for the voting experience. I'm going to be here all night.
I need something.
Yes.
I want one of those hats that has a holder for 2 cans with the curly straw that goes into my mouth.
You want a foam dome?
Yeah, that's what I want, a foam dome.
All right. We have some foam domes right over here. They're nonpartisan, so they don't have any election slogans on them. Here you go.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. This is great. This is fantastic.
You have to pay for the beer.
I mean, I can pay for it. I just want to know who's in the finals for the National Voting Championship. Which are the 2 that have 2 teams or states?
So we got. It's we're only 6 days after the election, so we don't know yet. We haven't started counting all of the ballots.
We don't know who's in the finals, who's the best state yet?
This could go 14 days after, and so you got another
so 8 I have
days?
To sit here for 14 days and wait for the final who's the best state?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I wish we had a better system.
Hi. Am I speaking with Arthur Grigsby?
This is the one and only Grigsby. How can I help you?
Well, Arthur Grigsby. Hi. Listen, I'm calling from the Secretary of State's office. We have your ballot, and I just want to kind of check to make sure that it's actually you. So I do have some of the personal questions that you put on it, just to make sure that it's actually your ballot. Okay.
Okay.
So what's your favorite color?
What did I write down?
Sneaky. No, just say, come on, everyone knows their favorite color.
Yeah, of course I do. Author Grigsby knows my favorite color, which of course is the color of the sky.
Exactly, good. The color right here, good. And also, what was the name of your first childhood pet?
Oh, it's that classic name of a pet that everyone gives.
That's it.
I'm sure they. Yep.
Yeah, you wrote the classic name of the pet that everyone gives. That's fantastic. Good. Okay, I have one more question for you. The name of your first girlfriend.
Ooh, trick question.
Oh, I'm so excited for my first day as an election judge. Hey, Bill.
Yeah.
I kind of had some questions about what I'm allowed to wear. I know I can't wear like outfits based on the current political candidates, but would it be okay if I just sported a wig like as I did my election judging?
You just want to change it up?
Yeah, maybe like toss on a gold chain, for my election judging.
I
And
gotta
then
say, Ronald,
and then
you're the
of
first
course, like
election
COVID, like
judge.
can I wear a mask because it's COVID?
Yeah, you could. You gotta wear a mask.
All
You're the
right, because
first election judge.
I would really love to keep myself and everyone who comes in safe.
Well, I don't know. You tell me whose it is.
You have to choose. You both have to choose.
I just want to vote for everybody. I'm going to give everybody a vote.
And if I don't vote for anyone because I feel like the fashion this election season has been super off, together, me and Bahilda, we cancel each other out and like a fair number of votes goes everywhere. See?
Yeah.
Boom.
You know what, Fernando? I like it, and I want to think of it as canceling each other in.
Ooh, I love that, Bahilda. Okay, so we are canceling each other in, and that's why we should be allowed to vote Mr. Election Judge, sir.
Exactly.
This
Amen.
is how democracy works. Well done.
Welcome back, everyone, to America's Top Voice. Of course, this show is decided by your votes at home. It's audience voting. Now, you have a couple of options this year. You have our returning champion who really doesn't know how to sing at all, but I take it you voted for him because he said he didn't like rap music. And then we have his counterpart who says that he likes rap music, but really only likes the Beastie Boys. These are your choices. But America, please vote wisely because it's really important that we have the right person moving forward to put their voice in front of America. So use your voice to bring their voices to light. Now, let's hear a little bit from our contestants before voting begins. So please, Wilhelm, please tell us a little bit about your thoughts on music.
My name is Wilhelm, and I really don't care for the rap music. Ever DJ, what's his name, was great in the 80s, but just took a turn from there and isn't as good anymore, and so I don't really care for any of it.
So if you would like to vote for Wilhelm, dial 63482. And now, the contestant, Shoshana. Shoshana, please. Hi. Shoshana, please let America know why you think you should be the next top voice.
Because I sing everything I say.
Hi, I'm an old gray thumb, and I was wondering if I could use that as a signature on my ballot.
See, it's 2020, so we're just full of a bunch of special rules this year. And while old gray thumb, you would be really good, we actually need at least 2 other digits. Notice how I said digits, so you could use toes, you could use other fingers. But hey, do you have friends?
I do. Can I use a tail? Would that be all right?
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for the cast of the Theater of Public Policy. Now, please welcome back to the virtual stage your host for this evening, Tane Danger.
Hey, everybody, that was fantastic. Who would have thought that the last improv scene of our fall season, the last scene of our first show of the fall season would end with just a gray mask and a cat butt. I love it. It's fabulous. Vote, everybody. So, before we say goodnight to everybody, I just want to do a quick one more round of applause and thanks for the people who are making tonight's show possible. A big thank you to this amazing, wonderful place, the Bryant Lake Bowl, here in beautiful Minneapolis. This is a institution that 100% deserves to live and thrive for generations to come. Where else are people going to have first dates or 50th anniversaries and everything in between and bowling parties, if not the Bryant Lake Bowl? So if you're watching this and you're near the Twin Cities, please order food from them. Come and have brunch on their patio. You can order some wonderful swag that they have to wherever you are in the country and wear it, and that would be fabulous. Also, a big thank you to Finnegan's Beer. Finnegan's is my favorite beer company, not just because they sponsor the show, not just because their beer is delicious, not just because they give 100% of their profits to feeding the hungry, but because they are made up of wonderful, beautiful people who do everything that makes me happy and proud to be a part of this Twin Cities community. So if you are anywhere in sort of the 5-state region and you can buy some Finnegan's beer, which you can do if you're in Minnesota, North Dakota, Iowa, anywhere nearby, go buy some Finnegan's beer. You're doing good and you will be happy that you did it. With that, I am going to, I have to do this. See, this is why I'm bad at this part of my job, which is I need to ask you all again to support us, because that's important, because, we want to keep doing the show. And so I'll say one last time that 100% tonight of the money that we're able to put together to keep these shows going is coming from you all who are watching. And so if you are watching and you have the capacity to chip in even $15, even $5 on our website, Destiny's going to put the link in the chat, and it would mean the world to us if you can help support making sure that this show, the Theater of Public Policy, and our amazing cast can keep doing what we're doing. So thank you in advance for doing that. We really appreciate it. But with that, I am going to stop talking, and I am going to welcome back the cast of the Theater of Public Policy and our fabulous guest for this evening, if he's still around, Secretary of State Steve Simon. I don't know, he might have disappeared. No, he's there. He's still there. Okay, so he's changed back. Oh no, he's still there. Okay, he just changed glasses. Okay, so with that, I want to say thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your night. One more time. I don't know what order they are on the screen. I can't remember, but Heather Meyer is there. Brandon Boat up there playing with baby toys. Doug Washington has the best necklace I've ever seen. Jim Robinson is in a shower stall, and Denzel Phelan just keeps spinning. One more time, a big round of applause. Minnesota Secretary of State Steve Simon. He has a really big job. Give him the patience and the grace that he deserves. Thank you all so much for watching tonight. We love you. We will see you all again next Monday night. I will do a little bit of a teaser. If this all was too stressful for you all, thinking about the election and everything, next Monday night, we have the executive director of Secondhand Hounds joining us, because so many people have adopted pets during the pandemic. We thought we should do a show on how to be the best pet parent you can be. So tune in next Monday night when we are going to talk all about pets and sheep. All right, with that, thank you all. Have a great rest of your night. We'll see you all next week. Goodbye. Yeah.
Yes, I'm. Oh, sorry. That's because I'm turning my speaker back up. Great job, everybody.